Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, that's good.
Ready for action.
Ready for action. What a week it's been. How was the Flinders?
Oh, just not long enough. It was beautiful up there. Very cold.
I was going to say it's chilly this time of year. I was up there in May. I actually had my 40th birthday up there, and now Matthew's gone. Come on, Matthew, come on back. So Matthew is going to hook back in for some reason. He's just dropped out, but he's been up the Flinders Ranges, so we haven't had Matthew's meditation with Matthew on Monday night. We didn't have that, and we're here now for the Fireside Chat with Matthew, and he will be talking about empaths again tonight. So if you're here, just say hello and just drop where you're from, drop your name in the comments, and just know that if you do have, while Matthew's just hooking back in, if you do have if you do make a comment, what you will get a message from the chat bot that says if you would like to go in the draw for a reading, you will be you can just register, and the winner will be drawn next week. We do have a winner from this last week, but it looks like he's back. But if you comment on Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys, or if you comment on mytimetv.live, because we are cross-posted to several pages out there. So, Matthew, hello. I was just saying that we do have a winner from the last week's. I can announce that if you like.
Yes, please.
And we're cross-posted, so any questions, if you put them on Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys page, or where the live is, or if you put them on my time, I'll keep an eye over there like I did last time, and I'll bring the comments over. I know it gets a bit confusing when you're watching. Donna's here. Hi, Donna. How are you?
Hi, Donna.
I know it can get a little bit confusing, but this is Facebook, and this is how we wrangle it so we can get the message out to as many people as possible. So just a reminder, if you are on any other page but mytimetv.live, please come over and talk to Matthew live. Please also make sure that you get as many people as possible to see this live. I can't say the S word. Not the S word. But what I can do, let's see if I can find it, is do this. You're not even supposed to write it these days. So maybe even something like this would be, I know that's cool. I like the stars, but anyway, we'll just go with none. Please make sure as many people as possible see this, because Matthew's messages are amazing and relevant and so helpful to all of us. Please just pop in, say hi, where you're from, and I think that's about it. If I think of anything else, I'll just put a little ticker along the bottom, and we'll give you Matthew's number so you can contact him. And I'll also be popping information in the comments around how you can join Matthew's group for the Monday meditation if you haven't joined us already. So over to you.
Adair, have you got the winner?
Oh, yes. Sue Williams.
Sue Williams?
Sue Williams, yes.
Okay.
I will. I'll send you her details, and I'll let her know. I'll tag her in the post. And Sue, congratulations! You have won a spirit guide reading with Matthew. And just remember, if you would like to, hey Sam, hello from Rockhampton. Yay.
Hello to Rockhampton.
Hello too, yeah. So if you would like a spirit guide reading to go in the draw, just make a comment like Sam and Donna have, and you can automatically be registered either on My Time TV or on Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys page, because we've set up the chat bot. If you don't want to register to go in the draw, you don't have to do anything and nothing will happen. If you do want to register to go in the draw, just follow the bouncy ball and you'll be registered.
Cool.
Now, over to you.
See you there. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. So you're stuck with me for half an hour or an hour. All right. So what we're going to talk tonight about is empaths again, but I'm just going to take it a bit further than I did last week. But before we do that, as usual, we're going to do a meditation, a little grounding exercise that when you're used to doing it, should only take a few minutes and might take about 5 to 10 for newcomers just to get into it. But this is a great exercise in helping you to keep your energy stable and strong through the day with all of the fear stuff that's being projected at us left, right, and centre. So here we go. So if you get yourself nice and settled in your chair, wherever you are, I suppose you can really be upside down. It doesn't really matter. It's as long as you're comfortable. And start off with breathing. So nice, deep, long, full breaths. And any types of modalities like yoga and Tai Chi and Qigong, martial arts, they all access life force. They access the breath. And so with your breath, keep it nice and long and full. That's the breath in and the breath out. If you can breathe in, even use this as an exercise with your breathing. Breathe in for about 4 seconds. And then with the breath out, breathe out for about 6. It really helps to empty the lungs as well. So just keeping that cycle of breathing going just for a few breaths. Just giving your body the time to relax. Knowing that the moment you start to focus on your breath, your whole body begins to relax naturally. And you actually begin to take in life force in a much bigger way. It's only through stress that we actually slow down our ability to take in life force. And when we're in that stress state, guess what? We become very reactive. And that means that we're not taking in life force in a strong way. Cool. Okay, so now that your breath is relaxed and your body's relaxing, now let's utilize that life force that you're breathing in. So with the next breath in, taking a nice deep one, and then with that next breath out, move that energy you've breathed in down through your body, down through your base chakra, your legs, your feet, and then down into the earth. And for about half a dozen breaths, that should help you to achieve a flow of energy down through your feet into the earth. And of course, down through the base chakra. Still keeping to that 4 seconds in and 6 seconds out. Once you have the flow of energy going down through your legs, we're nearly halfway there. So we have a multitude of chakras below the base chakra. We're going to connect with the deepest one, which is right down at the core of the earth, and it is called the earth chakra. So with the next breath in, taking that life force in again, consciously. And then with the breath out this time, drive that energy right down to the core of the earth. Don't concern yourself with the distance that is physically. Energy moves instantly. It's only the head that gets in the way. It slows it down. It's not just the head, but it's the limitations that the head has in your belief systems that you may have taken on. Beautiful. So with that connection to that earth chakra, it's a little bit different to the base chakra. Base chakra is definitely a feeling of energy down through your feet. The earth chakra is a bit more of an all-over feeling. A feeling of peace or tranquility or groundedness. And so now, once you have that, just know that that's happening all by itself. You don't have to force that. Hi Sarah, Sarah Lennon's just come on, all the way from New Zealand. Good to see you, hear you. And now, just to step up a little bit, bringing your focus to the physical body to start with, and imagine diving your awareness into the center of your body. So where we're heading with this is we're going to be accessing a part of our energy system called the core star energy, or in really basic terms, it's the God force within. So as you dive your awareness into the center of your physical, knowing that we're far more than physical, that we are multi-dimensional beings, now take it past the physical and just keep diving deeper and deeper into the center of your being. Right as you dive deeper and deeper in there, you'll be confronted, or you'll connect with a light or a high vibrational energy source. When you find that space, when you find that light or that energy, what we're going to do now is radiate that energy out. So very gently begin to, as you access that energy this time, just with your intention, begin to expand that light out through your body to start with. As you imagine that light expanding out into your body, just know that it's connecting with every cell in your body, and every cell is beginning to vibrate at a high frequency as that light touches each cell. And as that light fills your physical body, now expanding it out into the human part of the energy field, which is 7 chakras out, roughly around, it's around about 4 meters out in all directions around your body. So just filling that space with light from your internal core. And as that space begins to fill with light, I want you to keep compacting light into that space to the point where you just can't contain it any longer. Just keep doing that for a few more breaths. Now, our energy system is incredibly vast. These 7 energy bodies around us are just the beginning. So as that light builds up in strength, I'm going to count to 3, and then on 3, I'm going to get you to explode that light out in all directions. Up, down, left, right, front, back. So 1, 2, 3. Just let it rip. No boundaries, no limitations. Imagine that light expanding out through space and time. You can even imagine it expanding out into your future, and tweak that light with, as it expands out into your future, put a little intention in there to connect with the optimum spiritual path that you could possibly take. Because we can take many paths. And so you can imagine that that light is basically shining the way. Anything that doesn't feel like that light, that high vibrational energy, is not the path for you. Only opportunities, people or places that resonate with that light, with that high vibrational energy source, that is your path. And then just gently bringing it back to your physical. With each breath, feel yourself coming back into your physical, and then gently regrounding your energy. Just down through the base chakra is enough. It's kind of like you're anchoring even more of you, and particularly anchoring your body, your being into that optimum spiritual path too. Beautiful. There we are, guys. So that's a little exercise that I highly suggest. If you want to keep your energy, yourselves more stable through the day and ongoing, that's an exercise that you can do a couple of times a day. And highly suggest if you're a practitioner, if you do work with people, you have interactions with people. You'd have to be in a cave if you don't, but if you have a negative interaction with someone, that's the time to do that same exercise. It just brings your energy back into a stronger form. Now that light, might just give this about 5 minutes just to talk quickly about that core star energy. So we have different levels of vibration within our energy system. We've got the different chakras, we've got different energy bodies. At this point, I've gone out to about 32 energy bodies. I know they exist. As our awareness grows, we'll definitely be seeing more, because I know it just keeps going. But then, of course, we have another energy part of our energy system called our hara energy, which is basically a column of light that comes from your soul down through your body, because this body that you're in is a manifestation of what your soul is wanting to learn and grow through, and to experience this journey with. And so the hara goes down through the body and then anchors at the core of the earth. So this is quite a powerful one. And a lot of people who aren't grounded, they have their spiritual purpose coming in through the top half. But at that point, it's just a concept of what you want to be doing spiritually. What generally stops your spiritual path coming through solidly when it's actually in action is your base chakra energy. That's what where you hold fear and anxiety. When that hara energy is anchored right down to the earth, the core of the earth, then you're on path, you're on track. Things are happening for you. Good, positive things. Now, the core star energy is on a completely different vibrational level of frequency. And this is literally the God force within us. It's an energy that can be accessed anytime. It is a little bit harder to access if you're not grounded, but generally start off with a grounding exercise that generally helps people to access that energy a lot easier. Now, this energy is something you can use for personal development. But one of the biggest things I was going to just share very quickly is I don't, personally, I don't believe in the bubble of energy around you that's protecting you, like putting yourself in a ball of white light, because generally where that's coming from is the need to have that is generally coming from fear. Fear of something getting in, fear of something getting you. And I've questioned some spiritual people that use that technique, and they actually don't know what they're really afraid of. They're just taught and told that they've got to put themselves in a bubble of white light. Well, sorry to say, but it's a little counterproductive, and I've noticed energetically with most people that do it with a passion, it's not actually helping them. Because what you're doing, number one, if you're using fear in the need to have that there, it's counterproductive, because you're actually projecting fear out through that light. And what you're doing is attracting situations into your life that are of a negative nature, that feed that fear. So you have to be really careful when you're accessing energy, that you're accessing it in a neutral or positive way, not in a negative way, because you'll always get negative situations coming from it. So the other thing is you can actually access that energy for personal growth in every time you use that, or you project that energy out from within your core, which means that high vibrational energy is literally radiating out through every part of your energy system, not just a bubble around you that's containing your fear and anxiety, but you're actually radiating that light. And the more you do that, it tends to shake up anything of a negative nature and helps to bring it up to the surface, so you can actually free it, so you can let it go, face it, and it has no control over you anymore. So just a few quick hellos. So said hello, Donna, Sam, Sarah, and Shirley Dartnell, hi, and Lee Williams. Hi, Lee. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about empaths now. And let's see, what time is it? It's about 7:24. Geez, we're halfway there already. Okay, I'll give it about 10 minutes. And then if you want to write down as I'm talking and you've got any questions, I'll take a break in about 10-15 minutes, and I'll answer those questions. And then we'll do some questions right at the end. Here we go. So we talked a lot about, last week, we talked a lot about empaths, and you know what happens for us when we're kids trying to fit in. It's always a difficult one, because you feel that you're different. Look, I remember feeling like I was adopted when I was a kid, because I didn't seem to fit in with the family. It's definitely very hard to find your place in the world in those early days, because you know that there's something different about you. You seem to have a huge conscience, and you find it very difficult to do anything naughty, because that huge conscience tends to come in and hit you pretty hard. Definitely hard finding your tribe. But what happens is, the biggest thing that I talked about last week is the fact that what happens with our energy, when we're in a space of fear and anxiety, when we're not comfortable with who we are, when we don't seem to fit in, then we feel very disconnected. Now, that word disconnected relates to a lot of things. We feel disconnected from a lot of people, but literally, energetically, we are disconnected. So our base chakra is the part of us that gives us stability. It gives all of the chakra system stability. Now, when we're disconnected, when we don't feel like we have anyone around us that understands us, well, that has a huge effect on the base chakra energy. So what happens then is we're very susceptible, we're very open, being sensitive anyway, we're very open to other people's neediness, other people's intimidation, and we tend to have almost a target on our back, and we get picked on a lot. And I've talked to a lot of people that are empaths, and most have gone through the similar situation. Now, this is where that grounding exercise that we've just done comes in hugely effective, because it has the ability to strengthen the base chakra energy and to keep our energy far more stable. But what happens as we grow up? So, we go through our most impressionable times in the beginning of school, when we're meeting all these other kids. And, a lot of them don't seem to have a conscience. They just do whatever they do. And but we feel so different to them. And it's very hard to fit in when you don't really get it, when you don't understand who you are. What I found for myself, I actually learnt to be a chameleon. I learnt to actually be able to fit in with any type of person, because if you fit in with any type of person, then you're generally not criticized, you're not picked on, but then you still feel lost. There's still something about that doesn't feel right. Now, what I've found in later years, those skills that I picked up, like being a chameleon, actually come in very handy, particularly if you run a business or you own a business. So for the first 20 years of my working life, I should say 16 years of my working life, I was a furniture maker. And I learnt pretty easily that I could fit into any type of customer's language, whether it be someone that was a bit rough around the edges, or someone that had a lot of money, and just the way they talk, the things they talk about, I seem to be able to fit in with everything. So that being a chameleon actually came in as a very powerful attribute, and it taught me a lot about how to work with people, and these skills that you find even in the face of adversity sometimes. These skills become very helpful through life. But in your teenagehood, that's a very challenging time, because in that time, you're asserting yourself as a person. Because what happens in the early teens, 12, 13 sort of period of time, when you're going through puberty, there's a lot more to what's going on. It's not just a hormone reaction that happens in puberty. Energetically, we're actually still encompassed within our mother's aura. So when a child is born, aurically, the child's aura is still within the mother's aura. And it's kind of like the fact that a child is born in the womb of the mother, and then there's still that protection or that energy connection to the mother until the child until the timing for the child is that it's looking to be its own person, male or female. And this is where a child begins to assert his or herself. And then you're looking, in that process, you're looking for another tribe. So the tribe thing can be a very difficult one for empaths, because you find there's not as many empaths, or back then there wasn't as many empaths as possibly there are now. And so finding your tribe is quite a difficult thing. So quite often what happens then is the empaths will end up going inwards a bit, becoming a little bit more of introverts or recluses, and find that they're probably, instead of being connected to people a lot, they end up being connected to animals or to plants, because plants don't hurt, unless it's a rose, I suppose. But plants aren't out to get you. Animals aren't out to get you. They're very truthful and clear with their energy. And so it can be a great time of discovering other types of energy and focus. In these more reclusive times, this is quite often where your connection to spirit begins to open up more, or it can actually be a challenge. And for some people, some teenagers, they actually push it away because it goes against what everyone else is going through. And so it definitely can be a difficult time. The ideal situation, of course, would be is if we're growing up in an environment, in a family unit, where it's understood what an empath is. But for most of us, our families didn't. And so they just looked upon us as being very different. Now, going past the teenage period of time, then we start looking for jobs, which can be an interesting thing. And so one of the things, I just was doing a list of the types of people or types of jobs that empaths tend to be attracted to. And it can be anything in the way of counselling. A lot of nurses are empaths, obviously healers and readers, gardeners, again, the plant thing, working with animals, vets or vet nurses, or working at shelters for animals, but also working with young children, because young children aren't at that stage where they go on the attack. And so they're these innocent little guys that are just looking for connection. They're like sponges, and they just want to learn. And this is where we can be invaluable to some of those kids, because we tend to be able to read another empath, or we tend to be able to see very clearly an empath, because we know what it's like. We've been that. Now, I'm just going to, at that point, I'm just going to go to any questions that anyone has. Let's have a look. No questions yet. Donna's saying my kids are rarely leave the house. There you go. So the recluse thing is very strong within most empathic kids, because it is very difficult to fit into large groups of people, because we are impacted heavily by other people's energy. And it can be almost like a bombardment of energy, and so we tend to shy away from that sort of stuff. And but the danger, of course, particularly with all the electronic games out there, is empaths can, if they're given the opportunity, can go very inward and disconnect from everything else around them, and with electronic games. And it also helps their mind to be dulled, so that they're not literally hearing voices, hearing their guides, or sensing things on a spiritual level, because no one has possibly told them about this or educated them about this. It can be very intimidating if you don't understand what's going on. So Adair's saying, I remember several years ago, I couldn't even go into a shopping centre without feeling like I was being hit by darts. Exactly. And look, that's something that a lot of people feel when they go into a shopping centre or into large groups. Look, I can remember when it was probably in my 20s. I used to go to a shopping centre, just grab a coffee, just sit down at a cafe, you know, where you could see all the people walking past. And this is before I knew anything about spirituality. And I'd just look at people as they were going past, but I'd sort of focus on maybe one group of people, might be a family, and I start playing this imaginary game in my head where I'm seeing imagining what this person is like, and that person, and the son and the daughter, and so I'd continue to do that for about half an hour while I'm drinking my coffee, and then all of a sudden I'd start to go, oh, I got to get out of here. This doesn't feel right, and so I'd get out of the shopping centre as quick as possible. And what I realised was that later on, of course, I realised that I wasn't imagining anything. I was actually reading them. I was reading the people and what they were like. And of course, as I'm doing that, I'm taking their energy on. And so I learnt to shut down from doing that. And it's proven very useful to be able to do that. But the one big thing with doing that is you have to bring into your life. It's almost, I had to treat this like bringing this in as a mission for my life, that I dealt with every bit of negativity that I could find in myself and deal with that, so that, because what happens is the more negativity you carry, the more fear and anxiety you carry, you tend to attract that same level of energy from other people. So that's what you're actually drawing on, is the mirroring of your own energy and other people. And they don't even have to know it. They don't need to be purposely going, well, there's an empath, I'll just get rid of some of this energy and give it to them. They don't realize what they're doing half the time. They're just, all it's doing is it's coming in like a magnet and just drawing in exactly the same, more or less, as what you already have within you. So the trick is you deal with your stuff and you stop attracting other people's energy. And I can assure you it works. So Adair's just put, I didn't know what was happening at the time. It was scary. It is scary when that happens. And once you understand how the chakra system works, which is the foundation of the chakra system is, of course, the base chakra, and that literally is the energy, the part of our energy system that's affected most by fear and anxiety. So you clear that one up, which is all of your negative emotions, negative energy that you're carrying, old experiences, childhood experiences, any other experiences too that are of a negative nature. Once you face those and deal with them, then there's nothing there to attract other people's energy into your space. But no one tells us this when we're young. So we're kind of left flying blind. And this is where it becomes very difficult. So what's the beauty of this time that we're in is that we are far more capable to be able to help other people with this same issue just by education. And that's literally all that's needed. Once people have an awareness of what's going on, they don't feel like they're going mad, or they don't feel strange. They don't need to be a recluse anymore. Look, decades ago, hundreds of years ago, we were put into mental institutions. We were even burnt at the stake. It's an incredibly debilitating experience that many of them went through. Many of our ancestors and people from previous times went through, because it wasn't understood, wasn't talked about. There was no education about it. But now we're in such a fortunate time that we have got the ability, particularly as parents or as grandparents, to be able to help the younger ones coming through. That's what we're here for. And look, when an empath is at his or her best, they become incredibly powerful healers, teachers, and mentors. But that is not necessarily just in the spiritual field. because I've got a lot of clients of mine that aren't in a workplace that is of a spiritual nature. They can be anywhere. And I'm finding that, once upon a time in the early days of the New Age, 30 years ago, every healer, every sensitive person wanted to be a healer and wanted to be a counselor and, pardon me. And what I'm finding now is that there are so many people out there in so many different levels of work. I know people in the corporate scene. I know people in, I used to know a guy that was on a road crew, gardeners, all kinds of things. And but you know what? There's never any coincidences about where you work, because it's there are people there that need your help, and so it's sometimes you have to get to the point where you actually open up and you start to share who you are, the sort of person you are. And it's amazing what happens when you do that. Now, I'm just going to go to a couple of questions. Pardon me. So, Will, extroverted empath versus introverted empath, any notable differences? Well, generally, an extroverted empath can be someone who has done a total double flip, has put on such a great mask that they use that to, instead of feeling belittled by being an introverted empath, they tap into the ego a lot, and they create themselves a mask that basically is there to take down other people. Because what this is all about in the end is, that exercise I took you through in the beginning, the grounding exercise, this is about us getting life force in a healthy way, by meditating, by different energy exercises, by those different modalities like yoga, martial arts, qigong, tai chi, all of those sort of things. That's ways of accessing life force in a healthy way. But what happens is we grow up in a world, because being an empath is not understood, and the need for life force for each one of us is not understood. We grow up in a family unit generally that learns to take life force from other people. If they don't feel balanced, if they don't feel in harmony with themselves, if they hold fear and anxiety in themselves, then the only way to get life force, if you can't get it in a natural way, is to take it from other people. So, in the empath, in the extroverted way, would be doing just that. They'd be quite expert at taking energy. And they've probably learnt over many years of doing that. So, yeah, there is quite a difference. Lee. Now, Lee, I've sent a message to you. I owe you a reading. So you won one of the readings a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't been able to... I've tried contacting you, but anyway, I'll leave that to you to give me a message. So Lee says, yes, it can be quite overpowering. I found that when I went to the China Lights Festival in Auckland, didn't make it to the nightfall. There was so many people, so much energy and white noise, I had to leave. And yeah, and that's definitely, let's say, an empath out of control. And I don't mean that in a really bad way. I just mean an empath that doesn't fully understand their energy and how to hold it strong is going to be like that until they learn to do some sort of technique that's going to keep their energy strong. Now, look, one of the things, again, to do with an empath that we're not taught. So when we are growing up, we're taught to wash our hair, wash our body, clean our teeth, all of that kind of stuff, and that just becomes like a daily routine. But who teaches us how to manage our energy? Not too many people. And so we just need to have something on a regular basis, which is why I've put that grounding exercise together. That's there to keep our energy clean, and which keeps us far more stable. Thanks, Lee. So Donna, how do I work out who I am if I've been told all my life that I'm wrong, not good enough, etc.? I never had a chance to know who I am, as it has been my whole life, and still I don't know who I am or why I'm here. Again, just keep chipping away at that, the energy that you're hanging on to, that whatever statement that you heard, whatever, it's finding the core, the nuts and the bolts of where it all started. And I know you've been working on this for a long time, and you just got to keep chipping away at it. Eventually you're going to get there, but there's some part of you that's not allowing, that has a lot of fear around seeing the truth. And that's only natural. My suggestion is just to keep chipping away at it, keep doing that grounding exercise, opening up that core star energy, which will continuously have an effect on the negativity that's sitting in there, and it'll allow it to come up to the surface. Hey Ian, haven't heard from you for a long time. Good to see you or hear you. So Kate McCormack, hi. And Adair, hey, my old stomping ground. We used to swim in the waterhole under the bridge at Rhiney. I actually drove past Rhiney about a day ago. Came in from the Flinders. All right. So if you've got any questions, any other bigger questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm just going to go on a little bit further with the empath side of things. So now, once you get to that point where you've done a lot of work on yourself, and this comes with time, then you have a lot of wisdom about how your energy works, where your weaknesses are, and how to actually help other people with the same weaknesses and the same issues. And there is a lot of people out there. Like I said, there's a lack of education out there in the teaching systems on what it is to be an empath. Everyone gets categorized in the same box. So everyone's meant to be experiencing the same thing, which definitely isn't the truth. So it's important to remember that the more work you do become wiser. Now, what happens with that is the wiser you become and the more work you do on yourself, you literally begin to attract people to you that want to hear you talk about your life, that want to know how you got through some of the situations that have happened for you. This is this law of attraction, the same thing. You magnetically attract people that want what you've got. This is when the wisdom comes in, when you start to become a teacher, and it's a very powerful experience that when you can start to help others. And you can count on the fact that you have information there for them. Sometimes you just need to be reminded of what you've gone through in your life, because we get to a point sometimes where we assume that everyone else knows what we do, and it's not true. Not everyone does know the sort of things we've experienced, because they're just like I said, there hasn't been the education. There is far more education now, so empaths have a far better chance of growing up and knowing fully well what they're capable of, and why they have the issues that they've had in their life. But this brings great strength, And the best thing I've seen, and this is what fills my heart, is when I see that light bulb go off for people when they start to understand their energy system and the things that they've been putting up for a long time, and how they can change that. And this is the beauty of wisdom and being able to help others. So how are we going? So Lee's come in again. Yes, lots of love. I saw that when catching up on Facebook chat. So excited. Have texted you, Matthew. Oh, great. Many thanks. Good on you, Lee. We got Patricia Brown here. So especially feeling bombarded energetically with all the fighting over what is going on, particularly in the love and light community. Nobody really knows yet. Everyone is an expert. I'm not fully in any camp and now see the need to withdraw from Facebook reality. Look, unfortunately, Facebook can be a great venting place for people, and it's such a shame to see even professional people doing the venting thing on Facebook. The one thing I've done my best to teach people over the years is because, and particularly in the beginning of the new age, 30 years ago, a lot of people, not too many people took spiritual people seriously. There's always a lot of making fun of spiritual people and people that do readings and healers and all of that kind of thing. But part of it was well-deserved because there was a lot of very unprofessional healers and readers out there back then. But I still find there is to this day. It's gotten less, but it's still there. It is so important. If we want to be taken more seriously, we have to take ourselves more seriously and treat being a practitioner or being spiritual as something far more serious. And sure, we can have fun with things too, but this backbiting and bitchiness that goes on in the spiritual community just devalues everything that we're about and everything that we're working to. You know, the goal of where humanity is going at the moment is to be clearer, to be cleaner, to be more caring, loving, nurturing. But we're not going to get anywhere while there's judgment and bickering going on. And this, you know, this is something that at some point has to stop because it's not helping any of us. It's perpetuating this fear and anxiety that's out there, and it actually pushes people away. And Trish, you know, you're not the only one I've heard this from, believe me. And so it's really important that, and I'm talking about everyone, you know, we all have to look at this stuff, me included. We all have to keep on top of this, watching, because we're working to the future, you know. We see our politicians out there, their future is literally the end of their reign as premier or as whatever role they're in, which is generally only about 3 years. We're working to something much longer. You know, when you think of the native cultures, how they led and their belief systems, they would look into the future far further than the leaders of today. And they would be looking well beyond just this season. They'd be looking into seasons ahead on how they can, you know, create a better journey in their life from their summer camp to their winter camp. What's the best way to manage the deer or the buffalo so that they'll be there for generations to come, instead of raping and pillaging the earth. Well, we all have to do this on a small level and a bigger level. We have to take being here on the planet, we have to take humanity a lot more seriously. And we have to be examples for other people. You know, this is so important. Lead by example. So You know, that's, I know I'm getting all serious now, but it is important. This is what we're working to. We're here to help our children and our grandchildren have a better world. At the moment, you know, it's a pretty stressed out place out there. So here's Kylie, Kylie Beer. That's why I always felt out of place in banking. Yeah, I understand that. I was told by surrounding in light, it's like setting up a beacon for negative energies. You betcha, it sure is. We can all make, Adair said, we can all make that personal choice not to engage in any of the negative stuff, regardless of what industry we work in. Most definitely. You know, this isn't just about spirituality, but spirituality is a very important aspect of this. And like I said, if we want other people to take us seriously, we need to take ourselves seriously. So I feel like I've come to the end of the talk tonight. You know, there's about 4 minutes left. I'm happy to take any more questions if you've got any. It's one of those things. Being an empath, you can either be a victim to it, or you can change your fears and anxieties and turn them into strengths. And look, I'll just give you a little personal sharing here. 30 years ago, when I first, or 31 years ago, when I first started, I was terrible, absolutely chronic at communication. And I've done a lot of work over the years on communication. Talking in front of groups of people was one of my huge weaknesses. I needed to find out, this was something I learned over many years in my journey. I knew I was going to be confronted with talking more in front of people in workshops or at talks. I was being asked to speak at events. And I had to understand why I was in such fear, why I couldn't talk properly. I had trouble keeping two words together without shaking and falling apart. And once I did, I knew I'd really taken a huge step for myself, because I had turned what I'd seen as one of my greatest weaknesses into a strength. And I actually love speaking now in front of the public. And this has been a new challenge, is talking online, because I don't actually have any physical faces that I'm talking to, but I know you guys are out there, and it's still a great thing to be doing. And this then can take you anywhere in life. Being able to, you know, public speaking, I've been told, is one of the, it's one of the most feared experiences on the planet. I think it's public speaking and death. I'm not too sure which is the most feared, but there are huge difficulties for people in that. But hey, look, if I can get through it, you can get through it. You've just got to dig deep, look at what's going on, what's the nuts and bolts of why you can't. What have we got? We've got, so Adair's, Collie, no, Adair, I read that one. Shirley, you are, oh, thank you. Thanks, I wasn't asking for that. You're a wonderful speaker. Thank you, Shirley. Lee Williams, absolutely. When things get too much, going within eyes, can't quite see that. It's like there's a letter missing. Taught me so much more than searching outside. Ian Lloyd, thanks. I needed this tonight. Have been feeling very overwhelmed with current affairs. Feeling better already. Don't watch the news, Ian. Simple as that. It's not worth it. It pulls you down every time. So Shirley, look forward to catching up with you at some point for a reading. That will be great. And look, thanks everyone for your questions. It always makes the night. And really great to see you there. And we've got meditation on Monday, next Monday, and another fireside chat on Thursday. So the Monday night ones, it's a separate group, so it's not an open group. So just go with the links on the Monday afternoon that come up, and I might actually see you because it's on Zoom. So that will be a great experience to see your faces. So I look forward to that time. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. And really look forward to seeing you again sometime. Bye for now.